Hey, what's up, guys? It's Enigma Hood, and today I want to talk about the executive orders that President Obama wants to implement in regards to gun control. Um, I know a lot of my audience are liberals and are in favor for gun control, and generally don't support the Second Amendment. Um, like I believe in. I believe there should be gun control, right? I believe there needs to be a line, and I believe that line is do a criminal background check, and see if this guy's ever been institutionalized. But I think that's sufficient. Any kind of further limits, I feel, are an irrational reaction to highly publicized events. Namely spree shootings, where a large, relatively large amount of people are killed at once, usually occurring in some suburban place, as opposed to inner cities. When the Columbine thing first happened, I'll be totally honest with you, I didn't understand what the big deal was, because even at that age, and I was in like high school or something, I was already aware that lots of people die from guns all the time, so why is everyone making a big deal out of this right now? The reason why they were making a big deal out of this was because it happened in a suburban area to a bunch of white kids, predominantly a bunch of white kids, and that's it. The vast majority of gun-related deaths occur in inner cities due to gang-related activity. These executive orders will not have an impact on significantly reducing the total amount of gun-related deaths in America, simply because the vast majority, what I just said, because most people who engage in this kind of thing are affiliated with gangs, and they obtain their guns illegally. If you make it harder for people to legally own guns, all you're going to do is you're going to encourage them to illegally obtain guns, because then you get less hassle, or no hassle. So what's the point? Now, you might, and I'm going to use a big might here, you might reduce the total amount of mass shootings as a result of these measures. Maybe. It depends on exactly the idiosyncrasies of his proposal. However, those mass shootings already account for a very tiny proportion of the total amount of gun-related deaths in America. It's a very insignificant number. You're more likely to be hit by lightning or killed by a police officer than you are to be killed in a spree shooting. It's just those kinds of incidents are the most publicized, compared to just everyday people being shot and killed in the inner city by some gang member or due to gang-related violence, and I can kind of relate to that, because he wasn't a friend of mine, but a friend of my cousin was shot point blank in the head about a year ago, a little less than a year ago. But I knew the guy. I talked to him before, and he was shot in the head. He was a liquor store owner. We don't know why exactly he did it, but we suspect it was because of, we think it was like a gang initiation thing. And it was covered in local news, but it never made national headlines, of course, because these kinds of things, they happen all the time. They're so frequent. The ones that make national news are the big spree shootings that happen in suburbia, not the ones that happen in urban environments, predominantly black neighborhoods and stuff like that. It just doesn't. It goes under the radar there. Even though this person was shot in the head, I'm sitting here telling you that more gun control wouldn't have prevented that. It was done with a gun that was obtained illegally, and it was more than likely gang-related. So if you want to reduce the total amount of gun-related deaths in America, you need to address the core issue. Not the guns necessarily. The core issue is gangs, whereas the guns are just a means that they're using to kill. And some of the proposals, like limiting the amount of ammunition that you can hold in the gun, like what good would that do? Assault weapons ban, the definition of what an assault weapon is nebulous. Assault weapon is a political thing. Assault rifle is a military thing. They're two different things. So what is an assault weapon? And I'll point out that the largest mass shooting in America was done by Sung-Wee Cho, and he used one 9mm pistol, and he used a 22 pistol. And I believe the 9mm, it couldn't have had a capacity more than 15 rounds. 22 probably had less. So, what good would it do? What good would neither pistol was an assault weapon. It wouldn't fit any definition of what an assault weapon is. Tech 9 would be considered an assault weapon, not a 9mm pistol. So, I mean, what is the point? Like, how is this going to even slow down the number of spree shootings? It probably wouldn't. If a guy's determined enough to do it, he's going to do it. You can't prevent it. And it's difficult to even make it difficult. It's hard to hamper their progress because, like I said, a person that's determined enough to do it is going to find a way. If not legally, then probably illegally. And like I said before, most people who legally own a gun, if you make it so intolerable to legally own a gun, they're going to opt for illegally owning a gun. And you might point to Europe and say, well, it's hard for them to own a gun in Europe, so therefore, but not everyone's armed to the teeth with guns over there. But there's a difference because in America we have tons of guns. They're made here. It's one of the few things that are still made in America. They stamp it everywhere they can. Made in USA. Yeah, most guns are made in the USA. So there's tons of weapons, and if you look in the world, where did all those illegal weapons come from? They mostly came from America. So it's not something that you can fix very easily, and I don't support it. But it is what it is. Post in the comment section what you think. This is Enigma Hood signing off.